Alright, welcome back. We are in the second half of round one, and we are going to wait for TRgiovanni to take a little bit of a bio break before we begin this next game. If you are tuning in for the first time, welcome. I am Nacho Cheese, and I am casting the small time tournament. This is the first time that we've been running this tournament. StarCraft name Zen and Reddit name Rabidbot has set up this tournament. We were expecting just a very tiny turnout, really. We were expecting only 10 or so people. We have, I believe the last count, 86 people turned up, signed up to play. This is a gold and platinum level tournament, so we are seeing a bit of low-level play, although if you guys are watching my last game, it is still pretty exciting. And it's definitely a lot of fun for me as a caster. While we're waiting, I'm just going to take a look a little bit at our players. Now, TRgiovanni here is going to be spawning as the blue Protoss. Give me just a second. Alright, so TRgiovanni is the blue Protoss. He is a top-level gold player. Let's take a look at what his rank is as soon as this swirly circle disappears. Now, he is ranked 3 in his Gold League division. That is pretty good. He's got 130 wins this season, plus clearly a lot of wins from last season. As we see, he's got 289 wins total. So he's not a super experienced player, but he is pretty experienced. Dvsbenz is also a gold level player. He will be spawning as the red Zerg, and he is a rank 46 gold leaguer. So that is pretty good. We're going to be starting in just a second. There we go. Dvsbenz is going to be starting the game, and we are going to get started here on MLG Xel'Naga Caverns. Now, the MLG version of the map has some supply depots put at the bottom of each ramp. Now, the reason they did that was to stop some Terran wall-in aggression against their opponents. On regular Xel'Naga Caverns and tournaments, Terrans would be able to just run straight to the bottom of that map, straight to the bottom of the ramp, set up a couple bunkers, and just completely wall in Zerg opponents, and it was just blatantly unfair. And so MLG dropped down the supply depot on their version of the map. They may have made some smaller changes regarding these choke points here. If you can see on the map preview, I am not entirely sure, as I don't play competitively very much myself. However, that is certainly possible. The main difference is that the supply depots are here, and on larger maps, on 4-player maps, they do prevent close spawns from occurring, which means you see a lot less aggressive all-in rushes from Zerg players, or certainly from Protoss and Terran players if they're feeling risky. But it's usually the Zerg players that go for that patented Zerg rush. We are seeing a huge loading bar time, so I am stalling for time here as much as possible. Big shout out, thanks to Zen Rabidbot for setting up this tournament. I am having a lot of fun so far. Thanks to the other casters, we have Darker and we have Unctious, are both casting other games, and of course Zen is going to be joining us casting once we hit the quarterfinals, I believe. And now we finally have Dvsbenz starting to load, Giovanni loading. Alright, this game is now going to get underway. I'm going to take a drink of water. And we are going to get started here in this PVZ. Now, I am only a gold level player, and I play Protoss, so me and Giovanni are probably going to be at about the same level of play. so I will hopefully be able to understand a little bit of what he's doing. Ben's here, missing his workers going out. He's going to be a little bit delayed. As you can see, his opponent is already 30 or so minerals ahead of him. Now, at such a low-level tournament, gold level tournament, this is probably not going to make a big difference. This, however, could make a big difference. This missed rally point is behind the mineral patch, not on the mineral patch, and so this probe is just sitting here doing nothing. This probe, a very, very early scout. We don't even see a pylon down for Giovanni, and that's probably because he just can't afford it, because he's got 2 probes not mining, 3 probes now not mining. This is a little bit embarrassing for him. Benz is definitely doing a lot better on that regard, on the right-clicking of the mineral patch and building drones. Players are discussing some lag. I'm really not sure what's going on. Benz thinks it might be his computer. Giovanni says he's experiencing it a little bit more. So I just don't know what is going on there. But hopefully it will not be too severe, as lag could cost either one of these players this game. Now, it's a bit early in the game to call out any strats, but Giovanni is going for his normal gateway. It's a little bit early in food count, but that is probably just due to the fact that this rally point was misclicked, and so he had a lot of idle workers. And we are seeing a forge go down first instead of a gateway. That's interesting. Normally, a forge is thrown down by Protoss players in order to try and guard their expansion. You sort of build a wall with your pylon and your forge, and then drop a cannon behind there and your gateway to finish off the wall. But his forge is going up here on top of the ramp. I'm sure Benz is a little bit confused by that. However, he's not really going to let it affect his game, as he is getting this early expansion that Zergs absolutely love to get. There's really not a whole lot people can do against an early expanding Zerg, unless, of course, you are a Zerg yourself, in which case the games just get hecka crazy all over the place. We are seeing a spawning pool go down. That way, Benz will be able to get out his queens. He'll be able to speed up some production. He'll be able to get some Zerglings if he wants to do some early pressure. Although, if we see Giovanni drop down some cannons, those lings are not going to be very effective at doing any sort of aggression. This drone is scouting in an interesting pattern, not really seeing anything, but then again, there's not really much to see. And Giovanni dropping down a Nexus, he is going for an early expand himself. This is a pretty risky move. Technically, I guess this would be a forge fast expand, but we are not seeing a cannon go down for Giovanni. Now, Benz has a lot of minerals floating. I don't know what he's planning on doing with these minerals. All he's building right now are drones. He's got this extractor up. It has no harvesters in it. It's usually helpful to put some drones in your extractor so that you can get some gas and use that. And now we see he's using his minerals on Overlords and a Spine Crawler. Now, the Spine Crawler going down here at the main, that's interesting. Normally, your natural is the one that's very, very vulnerable to attack, and you want to drop one Spine Crawler here, maybe one Spine Crawler over here, or in some kind of position just to guard that against any run-bys or any other harassment build. But he is not doing that. Instead, he's building a small amount of Zerglings, rallying them to the front here, and he's dropping down his Roach Warren. So he's preparing to tech up a little bit. Giovanni, a little bit behind. He's just now getting his assimilators, dropping a lot of cannons down here, completing this wall. This wall is looking a little more solid, but he still does not have a cybernetics core, which is severely going to limit his tech opportunities, considering right now the only thing he can build are Zealots. Now, Zealots are incredibly good against Zerglings. One Zealot in proper position can take out 3 or 4 Zerglings easily. However, our Zerg player, Benz, is just going to be getting Roaches, and Zealots, while they're pretty good against Zerglings, not very good against Roaches until you get that charge upgrade, or if you just have vastly superior numbers. Now, these Zerglings are going to be running in here, this cannon doing a little bit of damage, but these Zerglings are still able to kill off a small number of probes. That is going to be annoying. It's not going to be too detrimental to him. He does lose 4 of those Zerglings, so the other 2 are going to run away. And as we see, That is not the tab I wanted to bring up. There's the tab I wanted to bring up. He had 4 workers killed, and somehow Giovanni's killed 2. I don't know if I missed a zealot coming in here, doing some early pressure, or whether he had a scouting probe that was just extremely lucky, but he somehow has those 2 kills. And it's a little more even than I thought. Now we're seeing a lot of gateways go down, 3 gateways, and a Stargate. So where the heck is this cybernetic score? Oh, it's right in front of me. Now, cybernetic score, normally you want to throw this down and you want to start researching Warpgate as soon as possible. However, he's not doing that. He's not doing anything out of this cybernetic score. It's just wasting a lot of time here. He's probably building it just to enable this Stargate. Now, the Stargate, if he's building Void Rays, is going to be very effective against these roaches, which he is now just seeing thanks to this zealot at the tower. However, this is a lot of roaches. He may be going for an early roach bust, sort of an all-in attack. Although if you look at the units tab, oh, it is a lot worse than I thought. Benz, only 27 drones against Giovanni's 35, even with that early harassment that Benz did. Benz did. Benz is just not keeping up on his drone production. However, he does have a scary amount of roaches. This looks like 8 roaches on the field doing damage to all these cannons before they can finish taking out this pylon. I don't know if he wants to move in here and take out these 2, now 3 cannons. He is going to take out this cannon after it takes 1 shot. This roach needs to be taken away or it's going to die, and it does die. Now these roaches doing a lot of damage to the workers having to be pulled away. Here comes a stalker out of the field, but 1 stalker, not very good against that amount of roaches. However, the Void Ray now is going to come out and clean up the rest of this. This is going to be a lot of workers killed, but that's also a lot of units lost for Ben. And as we saw, Giovanni is ahead in the probe count, although not by as much now, 28 probes to only 23 drones. These drones must be spent building some spore crawlers up here, spore crawlers down at the natural. I don't like this spore crawler placement. This side over here on the right is very well defended, but you can just sneak your Void Rays down along this bottom path, and boom, vulnerable left side. And then, even if the queens come down and try to scare you away, you've got an easy path right up here. And again, the same problem. These spore crawlers on the left side of the main, leaving this right side wide open to attack. Now, we only see 2 queens out for Benz, which means if it comes down to it, queens are not going to be enough to guard him against those Void Rays. But here he is going with another aggressive attack. I don't know if I agree with this. His attack just got destroyed, and now he's going in again. More cannons on the ground, a lot more stalkers, and he is mismicroing these units, locking them up, taking all sorts of damage before he stops and tries to turn and attack those stalkers. However, now he is taking out stalkers, 1 hit killing them from all of these roaches. However, now he's being dragged past these cannons, and I just don't think this attack is going to do any damage. We see 10 Zerglings coming in for Benz. We see 4 Zealots warping in for Giovanni to clean this up. But they're all on the other side of the wall. So these roaches are just going to be able to walk straight up and start doing damage to the main. Now he does have this Void Ray, which is going to be able to kill all of these without taking any losses, but the Void Ray is going to be doing too little damage, too slow, and these roaches are going to do a lot of damage. Unfortunately, not enough, as you see the Void Ray now doing 15 damage a hit once it's fully charged against those roaches. Roaches are an armored unit, and Void Rays do extra damage against armored. You see 10 on their normal attack, and that's before they start spinning up and dealing the extra damage. When you see a single Phoenix coming in around here, this is not going to be able to do very much, especially with these 2 spore crawlers. It could probably chase down some overlords and cause Benz to spend more drones building those overlords, and that's exactly what he's doing. Now, Benz really does not have any air attack. He just finished his infestation pit, which could allow him to stop the air harass, but not really kill those units. He needs to get a Hydroden, he needs to get a Spire, or something. He is moving these spore crawlers up to protect a little more of his base. That Phoenix needs to get out of there quickly. It does. And it's just going to go in here and do all sorts of damage to these overlords, unless it gets taken out by these spore crawlers, and it escapes with only 15 health. And is going to be able to take out some of these overlords. Scouting around. Giovanni throwing down a double pylon wall just to give him some early defense against anything. Clearly these aren't protected by any cannons or any units or anything. So if Benz really wanted to, he could just run some units around here, take out these pylons. but that does give him 400 health points worth of waiting time in order to take that out. Now, Benz is going to discover those, going to lose a couple Zerglings to that, as those are not really doing any meaningful damage. He does throw in a lot of Zerglings, but they're micro, and he's trying to go in against these cannons, but those choke points just keeping them from doing any significant damage. However, he does run away from those cannons, run into the main, and start doing lots of damage against these probes. This is going to be a lot more workers destroyed than his other aggressive attacks, and Giovanni is forced to pull his entire army, which is looking pretty fierce, up to defend this, and that is a lot of workers killed. 35 workers killed now for Benz. That is a huge advantage. As you can see, though, he only has 22 drones across these two bases, and even though he's killed all of those probes, Giovanni still has 24 probes left between his two bases, so it may not be much, but Giovanni still has a slight advantage. Both players are staying on two bases. I definitely do not agree with this. We're 15 minutes into the game. You need to get a third up. You need to start getting a better economy. By this time, your mains should have been about mined out by now, unless you've been transferring a lot of workers away, or, as you see here, you just don't have the number of drones to be able to mine this out. Same problem for Giovanni, although he is looking a little bit better. And we are seeing a little bit of a poke here from Giovanni with this large force. There's a lot of stuff here. Nothing is going to be able to touch these Void Rays except for these Queens. Those Infestors are going to come in. They get some fungal growth off on the Void Rays and on the Stalkers. That's going to do a little bit of extra damage because both of those units are considered armored, but he still just does not have enough to stop this. Fungal growth, great for putting the army out of position, not great for doing massive amounts of damage and killing units. And we see Giovanni's just waltzing in here, doing all sorts of crazy damage to Benz. He's taking out these Scorecrawlers with Abandon, moving up, going to take out the Infestors now, move into the main base. Now, only one Void Ray remains, but this is still a very scary ground army, especially against these Infestors, which do not have a normal attack. All they have is a fungal growth, and these Infested Terrans, with their nuts throwing down. A couple probes in here, I don't know if that was a mistake, but now Ben's GG's, and that is game. Giovanni takes that game. Very well played by both players. I would have liked to see a little bit more economic focus, as both players had a very low worker count that late in the game. 17-minute game, and you only had about 20 workers for each. Now, I'm sure Giovanni had a lot more that he lost during that harassment, but still, two bases in 15 minutes, just a little too late. Giovanni, however, able to make up for that loss and come back and win it. That is an awesome game. So we're going to be concluding round one of this small-time tournament very soon. Thank you all for tuning in and watching. Thank you for supporting me on my first-time cast. I'm having a great time. I hope you guys are as well. I will be back for round two. Catch you later.